New to Palia and feeling overwhelmed by all the social norms? Grab that comfy cozy drink and let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to Jade Mist Gaming. Jade Mist here, and today we're going over 10 essential etiquette do's and don'ts that beginners need to know in order to navigate the world of Palia with ease. From interacting with other players to proper behavior in-game, this video will provide you with all the necessary tips to ensure a positive and enjoyable experience in the game. Whether you're a seasoned player or a newcomer, understanding proper etiquette can enhance your gaming experience and help you build a positive relationship with other players. But before we do, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell to get notified of all of my future cozy gaming content, and be sure to follow me over on Twitch for even more gaming shenanigans. Did you also know I dropped some limited time summer merch over on my website? Head on over to jademistgaming.com for some fun summer merch and more. Now, players have adapted a specific way to handle certain situations, such as finding flow trees, rare drops, hunting, and so much more, making it tough to engage with others effectively when you're not familiar with the unwritten rules of the game. Now, keep in mind, everything we're going to go over here today is not an official rule and they're not set in stone. They're just simply common etiquette suggestions that players need to follow in order to maintain a friendly and fair environment for all to enjoy. So don't get upset if you see some players not doing these common etiquettes. Just casually inform them of how things are done normally. Let's start with something simple first, like finding and calling out rare resources in the game. There are certain resources that are a little more difficult to obtain as opposed to the common wood, stone, basic crafting materials, etc. There are 6 specific items that usually get called out when they're found in order to help other players find them as well. These items are flow trees, dairy cloves, heat root, heart drop lilies, pallium, and rummage piles. Now, rather than collect the item and run, it's common etiquette to either call out the location of the item in chat using the map grid saying something like dairy cloves at E3 or large pallium at D5, and flaring the item if you have flares on you. Now, I know not everybody's comfortable using the in-game chat or simply aren't able to for whatever reason, so it's important to at least flare the item with a flare arrow and your bow. You can craft flares at your work table using heartwood, flint, and crystal lake lotuses that can be found all along the shoreline of Kilima and Kilima Lake right over here on the map. Flare arrows last about 3 minutes and players can only have 1 flare active at a time. So don't go using all of your flares every second thinking you're marking multiple locations. Flare one item, then wait 3 minutes to flare another item if you come across something else. Items that you pick or mine will remain available for other players to gather for 3 minutes after you've collected it, which is the same amount of time as the flare. Now, this doesn't apply to rummage piles, however. Rummage piles stay in the same spot all day and reset to a different spot once every real life day at 4 a.m. UTC. Now, flow trees can be a little tricky when it comes to the etiquette. There's some flow trees that are super tiny that don't require multiple people to chop it down. Then there are the big flow trees that are just impossible to chop solo. If you find one of the small trees that can chop with 1 or 2 hits, you don't really have to call it out. However, if it's a medium or larger size tree, it's common etiquette to call it out in the chat and wait till other players come by to help chop it down. If nobody in chat is responding and you're able to chop it down by yourself, then go for it. If you can't chop it solo, simply hit it once to tag it, then move on to whatever else you were working on, and then come back to see if it's been chopped by others at some point before leaving the server. You'll get the loot as long as you tag the tree by hitting it once with your axe. If you do have multiple players coming in to help, be sure you let them all tag the tree before everybody obliterates it all at the same time. Now, if you come across a player that's standing next to a flow tree that hasn't called it out in chat simply because they're not able to use chat, they don't know how, maybe they don't speak the same language as most people in the server, stop to help them out. Hit the tree, and if they hit it back, prompting for both just to knock it down, then knock it down. There's no need to wait for a big group. At the end of the day, it's not a big deal if random flow trees don't get called out often. There is a flow tree grove that spawns every in-game day at midnight that includes multiple flow trees for a chance to get tons of flow wood. It's not like it was before in early gameplay when everybody was running around crazy looking for flow trees and chopping a million trees in order to get flow trees to spawn. Which leads us into our number 2 tip, flow tree grove. At 12 a.m. in-game in-game on the dot, a magical sound effect will initiate and be heard throughout 1/4 of the Bahari map. This indicates the Flow Tree Grove has spawned. The louder the sound, the closer the grove is to you. It's up to you and the rest of the server to locate the grove. The first person to locate the grove should call out the location in chat and flare it if you have a flare. Those that are interested in going to the grove will show up, tag each tree they find by hitting them once, and then just wait around for other players to arrive. The most common wait time is until 3 a.m. in-game to chop. You'll see a lot of times in chat, players are saying chop at 3. It's extremely important to keep this as a universal time for those waiting around because again, not everybody uses the in-game chat for many reasons, so be courteous to those that can't see your call out. Use that flare and wait until 3 a.m. in-game before all jumping in to chop all the trees. Sometimes players will even bring honey lures to help pass the time and catch tons of bugs. There's also a guaranteed spawn of 1 magic creature or 1 epic bug, regardless of whether this creature or bug usually spawns in that area, so feel free to look for those creatures or bugs while you wait. You have a chance of finding the rainbow-tipped butterfly, fairy mantis, dueling dragonfly, ancient amber beetle, or any of the 3 magical creatures. Now, if you come across a grove past the 3 a.m. universal chop time and nobody's around waiting for it, it's because the first midnight grove was probably not chopped down and a second grove spawned. Be sure to call that one out and set the time to chop about 3 in-game hours from when you called it out, which is 3 real-life minutes. So if you find it at 4 a.m. in the game, set the chop time for 7 a.m. in the game. Number 3, hunting. When multiple people are around the same area hunting the same creatures, it's common courtesy to let everybody get at least 1 shot at the creature to tag it, just as you would tag a tree. Hitting any creature once will guarantee you get the loot no matter who actually gets the final shot. This doesn't apply though to regular Cernic and regular Choppas that can be one-shotted with standard arrows, unless one player is using makeshift arrows on them. All of the creatures tend to need at least 2 or more shots. Additionally, if you see somebody's already in the process of shooting something that requires only 1 hit, don't be that person to steal their shot and take the loot. That's just plain rude. There are tons of creatures that spawn in the game constantly, so there is no need to get competitive and steal other players' shots. Let them have that one and move on to another creature close by. Sometimes you may not know that there are others around you. When you start hunting in an area, you can simply open your chat quickly and check out the number here on the bottom that tells you if any players are actually nearby. So just be mindful when you see there are players in the area. Number 4, fishing. Now, as you're running around Kilima and Bahari and come across somebody that's fishing, take a moment, if you have a moment, and drop your fishing line in next to them and reel in a fish. This will activate the fishing together buff that provides a 10% reduction in hook time. It's always good to help out a player around the server that could use a boost. Number 5, lower level players. Help out other players you see with low level tools. If you see a player chopping trees or mining rocks with basic beginner tools, lend a hand by hitting what they're hitting for faster foraging. You both get the loot and you get the satisfaction of knowing you're making things a little easier for beginner players. Number 6, item requests. Continuing with the vibe of helping other players, try checking in on item requests from time to time to see if you can fulfill anything on the list. You do earn some renown as well doing this, so it's a win-win situation. If you're requesting items occasionally, it's only fair to pay it forward every once in a while. Number 7, visiting player plots. If you decide to spontaneously visit a player on their plot, whether they are a friend or a random player on the server, be polite and announce your arrival by typing in the chat using the nearby tab. On the contrary, if you have your plot set for public to the entire server, don't get upset that a random player pops in to check it out. If you don't want random people to come on over to your plot, you can go into your settings and close your plot for visits. Also, if you are a visitor, take a moment to water any crops that look like they can use some watering. It's always nice to give a player a break from having to water their crops. Number 8, honey lures. If you come across a player that has placed down a honey lure and you start bug catching using their lure effect, be sure to thank them in the chat, or if you can't use the chat, use your emotes to wave at them to acknowledge your gratitude. It could be a bit daunting getting the materials to craft these lures to begin with, so it's always nice to show you're grateful for the lure. Don't be that person that collects the bugs and then runs away. Now, this may be my unpopular opinion, but I personally believe it's not required to to call out that you've personally dropped the lure, considering you've grinded the materials yourself, such as the gold, and then you've made them or you bought them using your hard-earned guild coins. Yes, it's definitely very nice and very much appreciated to call it out in chat and let others know that you've dropped it to see who wants to come over and benefit from it, but don't hate on the ones that prefer to drop their lures in silence. Number 9, Hot Pot. It's no doubt that Hot Pot is a beloved and favorite activity in Palia ever since it was introduced for the first time in the Magi market. It was loved so much that it became a permanent activity available now in the night market. But with great popularity comes great drama, such as spamming buttons to get a seat at the table, stealing people's spots, and patient levels being thrown out the window with players trying to play as fast as they can to be able to earn more prize coins. In the latest update, we just received an additional Hot Pot table that was added to the night market, allowing everybody on the server to have an available seat, so there is no need to push and shove your way into reserving a spot. However, when you do attempt to join Hot Pot and you see all the spots have been taken or a game is currently in progress, be patient and wait for a spot to open up. When a game ends, wait about 10 to 20 seconds before you try to join in case the previous players at the table are still trying to play with their group. There's no need to spam your button to push your way into the game. Not everybody's a Hot Pot pro and may need a little bit of time to get familiar with the game. At the end of every round, you'll be prompted to review all player hands and stats. However, while you're reviewing this information, trying to understand how you won or lost, somebody may swoop in and take your spot. Don't be that person rushing people off the table. On the other hand, try not to take too much time reviewing all this ended game info. Be courteous and jump back into the next round as quickly as you can to avoid losing your spot. You may also have other players waiting for you to jump back in the game, so keep that in mind when you're reviewing your last gameplay. Additionally, be aware there is a known glitch in the game right now that causes some players to look invisible to others. While you may only see 3 people standing at a table, there actually may be 4. This is why it's important to wait at least those 10 to 20 seconds between rounds to give current players that were already at the table a chance to get back into their next round. If you do see all the tables are full, you're also more than welcome to refresh your server and try a different one. Simply walk right out of the night market, either by the sewer entrance or Zeki's shop, and then walk back in. I've never had to change my server more than once in order to get a spot, so be patient. Hot Pot is available every single game night between 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. It's not going anywhere, people, so try to practice patience. Also, don't rush other players during a round. Again, not everybody knows exactly how to play and they're still learning the ropes. Each player already has a time limit on their turn and it can be seen here with this meter. Be patient and let each player play the way they want to play during their turn. If you prefer to play fast rounds, put it in the chat that you're looking to play fast rounds at a certain table so that other like players can go to your table, leaving the newer and the slower players to play at other tables. Number 10, the prize wheel. At the end of Hot Pot, you'll have earned quite a few prize wheel coins that can be redeemed at 2 separate prize wheels, here and here. The last etiquette tip I have for you is to wait your turn at the prize wheel. If you see somebody already at the wheel claiming their prizes, don't be that person standing next to them spamming the button to get your spin in. Stand behind them and start forming a line. I've seen some servers that have a nice, cute, adorable little line formed, and then I've seen others where people just crowd the wheel and then people get into arguments in chat about being skipped. There's no need whatsoever for the drama. I personally like to build up my prize wheel coins and then come back during a different time when the market is usually empty and claim my prizes in bulk. But whether you instantly redeem your prize coins or wait to come back later, always be courteous of others that are already at the wheel. And that's it, guys. While there are tons of tips and tricks and do's and don'ts, these are more of the essential ones that all Palians should know, whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned professional. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments below what are some of your Palia etiquette do's and don'ts. Together, let's make the Palia community a better place for all players. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell to get notified of all of my future cozy gaming content, and head on over to my website, jademissgaming.com, for some limited time summer merch that just recently dropped. Alright guys, until the next time, happy gaming, bye!